Hey everyone, it's that time, it's that night, it's going down. Time for Wives Wind Down. Clink, 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 clink. Pew, pew, pew. Yes. I'm gonna go and take a sip so I can get the party started. Hey y'all, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's another night. It's a new day, a new month, which means new blessings, new seasons. I mean, I love summer, but I mean new seasons in general because I'm not really rushing to get to fall. If y'all feel me, put some sunshine in the comments. But yes, it's a new day. It's a new time to just refocus if you need to. Time to clean out and purge. It's always a good time to purge. But today is a brand new day and I'm so excited. So happy to see y'all in the chat. I see y'all already. Hey y'all. Thank y'all for joining in. Oh, I sound so country. Hey y'all. But anyway, welcome to Wives Wind Down. I am your host, Shonda Brown White. And I'm so excited for you. If this is your first time, welcome to the Wives Wind Down family. If you are some of my day ones, y'all know I appreciate y'all because y'all go hard for me. And y'all don't just go hard for me, but y'all go hard for Wives Wind Down. So thank y'all so much. Yes, the wife studio, she said, yes, closet purge coming soon because I'm ready for my boots. Sis, you had me until you said boots, okay? Can we just finish summer out first and then we'll get to the boots? But yes to the purge part. I love it. I love to see it. I am your host, Shonda White, and I've been married for 13 years now. And I created this outlet because I knew when I first got married, especially the first few years, I was like, okay, marriage, oh my goodness, it was a little overwhelming. I was like, what happens now? It's like, okay, God, I got the man, then what? And often I would find that a lot of times I felt alone or I felt isolated because I felt like nobody understood, like, you know, the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows that come with marriage until I would talk to other married women. And then I was like, you know, they'll be like, oh, that's normal or it's okay. Like you get through it. You have seasons. I'm like, well, why isn't anybody talking about this? And so I decided to create that outlet so that whether you were single, whether you've been married for a few months, a few years, like our special guest tonight, or you've been married for like 13, 20, 35 years, however long, I wanted to create that outlet so that we could just pull back the curtains on what it means to be married and what it takes to not only get married, but to stay married and to be in happy, healthy relationships, because that's what it's all about. Happy, healthy relationships. Keyword on healthy. So that's why I created this outlet, and I'm so glad that you all have joined us and that you're joining me tonight. We are in for a special treat. Hey, ladies, I see y'all. I see y'all in the chat. Hello, hello. We're going to bring our guest on for tonight. I'm so excited. We have a lot in common because we went to the same school, and she's my soror. Hey, boo, hey.
Hey, girl. Hey, soror. How you doing?
Good. You look so cute. Hair is popping.
Thanks, girl. I tried a little something new. I was twisting, did a little rope twist thing. So I appreciate you seeing me.
Yes, it looks beautiful. And we rocking
I saw that.
And we rocking it tonight. Y'all better
like
get into it. Yes, yes. I'm so happy to have you on tonight. Before we get into it and kiki and have some fun, let me formally introduce you to the people, okay?
Well, thank you.
Living, learning, and loving, it's my pleasure. Living, learning, and loving the art of relinquishing, if I can talk tonight. It's those R's that get me. Are ingrained in Lauren Franklin's DNA. She has a real passion to encourage, heal, and coach herself and others to live as their freest and truest selves. She and her husband, Thaddeus, lead an online community called the Relinquish Life. Outside of sharing her truth, you can be sure to find Lauren enjoying her son, little baby Titus. Yay! So everybody, welcome to Wives Wind Down, Lauren.
Yay! Thank you so much. I feel so honored to be here.
Well, it is my honor and my pleasure. I hold each of my guests to a lot of esteem, and I respect you all. I clearly respect you as a new mom, and obviously I want to ask how you're doing. I feel like I want to show off my shirt, but then I have to scoot a little closer. It's like I'm trying to get you.
I got you. We see you.
Trying to represent, okay? I'll just go back and forth every now and then. Okay?
All right. I see you.
But yes, how have you been? Because I know you're a new mom to a baby, and you had a whole baby during the pandemic. So sis, how are you doing?
I'm gonna say great, and then I'm
Okay.
gonna break it down. Okay.
Okay.
So I really am doing great. Like, this has been a great season. It's been interesting in a lot of ways, but I would definitely say I've been on this high note. And with that, I just feel like super, super duper blessed. So for that, I can't really complain about anything. There's less sleep at times. I'm back at work now, and a lot of my mornings are me getting up at 5 a.m. To make it to my 7:30 meeting. So sometimes those feel a little different. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, we're good. We are blessed. We are loving being a family of three, and just, being in this season, because it's different experiencing Thaddeus this way. And then also experiencing myself in a new way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, elaborate a little bit on that when you say like experiencing Thaddeus in this way. Like, what has that looked like now that you all are like a family of three?
Yeah, so like I would see Thaddeus with like his nieces and nephews, or even like my sister's kids too. But it's so different seeing him like with our own. And plus, I mean, it's like, I guess it's always that thought, people talk about how you can get, just give other people their kids back. So like having like, our own now, and then seeing the way he dotes on him, and just it's really cute, because it's a softer side, but like not less manly. It's just a softer side of Thaddeus. So it's interesting.
Oh, that warms my heart. And even while you're talking about that, I was going to talk about this later, but I noticed on one of your posts, you talked about like learning how to be flexible now because you are a mom, like so many other moms, whether pre-COVID or even during COVID, you've had to go back to work, and not like working from home, but like physically go back to work. So how have you, like, what's helped you to kind of take on this flexible mindset? Obviously you have to, but like, I know that can be very difficult. Like, what have you found to help you with that?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. And I honestly get that question a lot. I think the biggest thing for me is it's just been like, okay, look, like, either we gonna fight against it and be mad every day, or be mad at whatever's happening, or we're gonna relax and kind of just go with the flow of what's happening. And that's really the only thing I feel like makes sense for me. So flowing with the changes has been like, okay, like, this is where I need to live. I want to stay right here. And there are times when it is hard, because the other day I was ready to pop Thaddeus. Like, what time I gotta be out the house? Like, what do you mean? You're not ready to do this? And I was just like, what am I stressing about? It's not that deep. Because at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, my family is the most important thing to me, right? So it's like, okay, so I'm a little late to a meeting. All right, have that conversation, let your boss know beforehand, and then chill and take that ride to the office like you normally would. Like, I don't know. It's just, there's things that felt like they were such a big deal, and I realize now that they're really very minute in the grand scheme of things. So I think it's just allowed me to take a step back and have a different perspective at things. And I encourage like all my friends too to do the same thing, because I don't know, you'll probably hear me say this a lot, but one of my favorite phrases is, it's just not that deep. Because it's not.
Yeah, I think that's a good word, not just as a mother, but as a wife. It's just not that deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Like when you're upset about some dishes being in the sink, and it's like, is that really something to cause an argument? Not really. Yeah.
You
At that
preaching,
point, it's like,
sis.
it's like you're starting to pick and look for things. And here, I'll say this too. I find that when I get irritable, or like when I'm ready to pick things apart, a lot of times I find it's, if I take a step back too, I realize there's something else that's actually bothering me. It has nothing to do with them damn dishes. Like, I could care less about those. It has something to do with something else. But it's like, if I take a step back, then I can see that. But I think it's taken me some time to be able to ask myself those questions, to be a little bit more introspective. instead of always blaming it on what's around me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because I can totally relate to that, because it's like I've had to kind of learn that about myself too. It's like you're not necessarily mad about that. You're probably, for me, you're mad that you don't have enough time to do what you want to do, or you thought it should look like this because it's going to make you feel comfortable or have less anxiety. And it's like, but that's something you're projecting onto your husband
Yeah.
versus it really being like, well, is that, like you said, it's just not that deep.
It's just not. It's just not.
You better come on, little newlyweds. Huh?
Listen, I'm like, I've been wise from a young age. I feel like it's just coming full circle now.
Yes, I believe we can all learn from each other. I said, come on, youngins. Like you my soror, but I've pledged a long time before you. Okay, not a long time.
It wasn't long like that.
Right, it wasn't a long time. So I want to delve more into like going back to like how did you two first meet? And then we'll talk about kind of like the transition. But how did you all meet initially?
Yes, so we actually met at freshman orientation at University of Louisville. We did. And when he met me, he was checking for me. Like he was trying to see what's up. Like he was like, oh, I'm gonna holler at her. When I met him, I was like, hi, new friend. I'm Lauren. Real formal with it. I really wasn't I wasn't checking for him. But he was cool. He was funny. I do remember that. So we met there at orientation, and then we ended up, I think I befriended a bunch of people on Facebook that I had met at that orientation session on Facebook. So eventually, somehow he ended up diving in my DMs the first time. I'm just playing. I may have direct messaged him too. I'm not sure. Either way, there was some type of correspondence.
Okay.
So we were chatting there, but I had a boyfriend. I knew it was like kind of on the up and out because I was going to school in Louisville. He was at Dayton. So it was like, this isn't really going anywhere. But I was still just like, friendly. I didn't really want anything from him. Long story short, we get to school. We ended up being like really cool. He was one of my best friends, and I still did not see him romantically at all. I wasn't here for it. When he asked, I can't remember how he approached me, but it was something about like, he asked if I wanted to go out, and I said, oh, do you like women who are taller than you with heels on? Your face. So I'm a jerk. I recognize that now. I was in denial before. I'm actually a huge jerk. I think it's the Capricorn in me. I mean well. My heart is very pure. However, I am rude.
To thy own self be true.
It just is what it is. And I think I recognize that I have some of those like rougher edges now. So it helps me like with how I, move in this world. However, that was our conversation when he asked about us going out. And I was like, you are too short. I don't know what I'm going to do with you.
Listen, somebody needs to hear that, sis, because like I said the other day, the journey to love is not always a straight line, okay? And clearly, what convinced you to date him since he was shorter? What changed your mind?
Yeah. So after that, it caused such an awkwardness, like in our friendship, clearly, right? How could it not? And so, we backed all the way up. Like, we didn't even talk for real. Like, it'd be like one of those things, like, if we saw each other on campus, hey, how you doing? But we were not conversing other than that. And so, it was Halloween, and I had gone out, like, with some friends at one of the parties, and I just remember being like, man, like, I wanted to tell Thaddeus something that happened that night. And I was like, I kind of miss my friend. Oh. And then ended up seeing him, and then we hugged when we saw each other. Like he was dropping somebody else off or whatever. And our paths crossed and hugged him. I think we started talking again. So that was Halloween. And then we were dating November 17th. And it honestly wasn't until my friends were just like, so I know you said he was short and that you didn't like him, but everything you're describing sounds like you like him. And they're like, is the only reason you wouldn't date him because he's short? And I was just like, dang, I guess so. Because, I mean, he was attractive to me. I said, I like this chocolate drop. However, I was just like, he's just a little short, you know?
So you kind of have your friends to thank for
Oh, yes.
helping you to see what you couldn't see beyond. You just needed a little help to see something that you couldn't see yourself.
And I tend to be like that in life. I almost need somebody to like slap me sometimes so I can really see and get it, because it takes me a second at moments. So yeah, I'm very thankful.
You that friend. I got it. Okay. I like
am.
that. And that's what I like. I like the diversity of the stories, because, you know, there's some woman out there right now who's saying, Lord, he can only be 6'2" or 6'5". And Lauren's here to tell you, guess what? He may not be that.
Right.
But he may be something else. He may check off all the other boxes.
Listen, the football roster said he was 5'7". I said more like 5'6", which means I am a little bit taller. I'm 5'7", 5'6" and 3/4", but you know, 5'7". So yes. I was just like, okay. But like in the grand scheme of things, like you said, like it came down to it, and I was just like, he gets me, he sees me on another level. Like, I guess the only thing that would not be bad is just to try this out, you know, see where it goes from here. So took that step, and November 17th, we started dating.
Somebody said the denial was real. It sure was, clearly. But that's why you gotta have good friends, because sometimes your friends can see what you need a little bit clear, because we're on the outside looking in. But speaking of, you said, because y'all have been married for 3, but you've been together for 10, and you said, I know people, I saw this on one of your posts, you said, I know people talk about better halves, but we both work diligently on being whole on our own before coming back together. And so during those seasons when you all decided to like break up, and you know, however many times, how did you know after the last breakup, whenever that was, how did you know that, okay, this is something that I'm willing to fight for, and that this relationship is something that I'm willing to commit to?
Yeah. So again, that denial, whoever said that, it was really real. I actually ended up, at this point, we had graduated school, and we were back home. He was home in Atlanta. I was home in Cincinnati. And I had gotten into this habit of running. So I had trained for half marathons. So I was training for this half marathon. And a lot of times I felt like at that time, like God would, he would challenge me to do things that I had never done before. Like I would never think about running without headphones or something to listen to or something to distract me from the distance I was running. But that's where he would really get to me, right? And I would really be able to hear him on my runs. So this one night I'm out training for my run, training for my run, and I heard God say, like pretty much say, like, that's your husband. And he, at this point, like, we broke up for, it was a little over a year. And he'd been saying, like, hey, I know God says that you're my wife. And you know, people be hearing that all the time. And I'm like, that's nice. He didn't tell me that, though. So, you know, I love you as a person, as a friend. But, you know, good day, sir. And I, for a whole year, like really wasn't having it. And then that one run, I heard God very clearly, like, just like, if you were to not try to put all of your I don't want to say standards, but put like all of my mess on it, if I took a step back, I would see that I really loved him and that, you know, I could see life with him. So I ended up, I think like that felt like enough, right, on the run. I come back, because I think that day it was like a 45-minute run straight. Like it was like just however long you can run in 45 minutes. So I'm tired, right? No. God wasn't done. He said, you need to call him and tell him that. I said, I'm just going to hop in the shower and catch a wink, because, you know, that was plenty for me. And ended up calling and telling him that. And it was crazy because, one, he didn't believe me, but you know, because he was like, are you serious? Because you've been saying something different for a whole year now. And he also told me in hindsight that he was done. He like that last time he had tried, you know, tried to holler and I wasn't having it. He said he was pretty much done with me. Like, as far as he was like, look, I don't know how to make her see what I see, God. So I'm just going to take a step back. You know, I'll let her make the next move. And then here I come actually making that next move, unbeknownst to me. So, you know, amazing in that way.
Wow. You said something, when you said, you know, God was telling you, you know, if you would stop trying to put all your mess on it. Woo, yeah. That's a word for somebody, because I think often sometimes we will, what's the word? We'll oh, I forget the word, but just a lot of times we will sabotage certain things, you know, unknowingly. And I know you talked a lot about like the self work you guys did. Like, what did that? Obviously, you guys did your individual work, which obviously it helped. What did that look like for you? Like, do you feel like that was kind of like what helped you to even hear clearer from God, because you had done all that self work, and like here he was doing the same thing, just like in different. You guys were kind of like in the same season, but just like apart. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense. But the crazy thing is, like, we hadn't planned that. Like, when we broke up, I really was like, nah, we're done. We're through. Right. So it's not like we were like, okay, we're both about to dive into our relationship with God and find out what God says. Like, it wasn't that at all. For me, I just, when I left school, I actually, I'm choosy about using the word depression, but I do think I was in some type of state of depression after I left school. Because there's a lot of times like I did not feel like myself most of my senior year and then going into graduation as well. And so, as you know, because of that, it made me dive deeper into my faith to really find out what it was, because I was about to, like, I was applying to grad schools, you know, trying to figure out what my next move was going to be. And I needed to just stop and really deal with me. And so I took all of that off the table, took all my spreadsheets where I was, you know, collecting my data of where I wanted to move and this school, that, and my applications and deadlines. I took all of that off the table. I was not thinking about Thaddeus, clearly, as we already stated, but I was also not thinking about any other man during that time. I ended up deciding on, I remember during that time, I was trying to decide on celibacy and abstinence. I didn't know the difference. Not gonna lie, I still don't really know the difference. Don't judge me. Somebody get me together in the comments.
No judgment.
Right. So I just was like, okay, we're gonna be abstinent because I don't want to be distracted, you know, trying to deal with anybody else during this time. I think I really just need to deal with me and get to know me better. Because at this point, I just thought I had lost myself doing so many other things, and also being wrapped up in my relationship with Thaddeus. We dated all throughout college. We did break up like at one point, but really, like, everyone was like, oh yeah, Lauren is, or everybody calls me Scooby. Scooby's with Thad, right? So it was just like, oh, okay, like, what does life look like by myself? And so taking that time to get to know myself. On Thaddeus's side, he probably would say he lived in Kentucky for the summer, and then he moved back home to Atlanta and lived with his dad, and ended up starting a job and starting his career, and really, I think, just finding himself. So kind of like establishing his foundation as a man, so to say. And then he's always had kind of like, when you think of I don't know if you've noticed this, but men, I find, don't usually go through the same process as women in regards to like how they show their faith all the time. Does that make sense?
100%.
It's a little different. So like I don't think he would ever put anything like super churchy on it. Like, whereas I'm like, I stayed in my room and read my Bible and did devotions. You know, his looked a little bit different. But at the end of the day, God clearly still had his hand on that. So,
Yes, God still had his hand on him. Yes, he did. And y'all still together. That's beautiful.
That's my boo.
Yeah, that's your boo, honey. You obviously you use Relinquish as part of like your overall branding and for your apparel line and your community, but I know that it has special meaning to you when it comes to relationships and marriage as well. So like, what does that look like for you? Like, what does relinquish mean when it comes to like being a wife and being married and the union of marriage? And like, how are you all incorporating that within your marriage?
Yeah. So the crazy thing is, like, during that time when we were apart, a friend challenged me to pray about a word that I would live out for the year. Does that make sense? Have you seen those challenges before?
Oh yeah, we have them in
Yeah.
our church all the time.
Okay. So I had never heard of that at the time. I think it was like 2000. This had to have been the year. We were going in 2015. And so I prayed about it, and the word God gave me was relinquish. And I remember feeling like, man, that's a dope word. One, because I'm a sucker for a big word, right? I love to sound smart. So I was here for it. So I was like, but I like that too because of the freedom, because at the time I felt so locked in myself. But I felt like God was telling me, like, hey, this word's going to keep evolving for you. So it might look different. Relinquish is going to look different to you for 2015, but wait till you see it in 2016 and then see it in 2017. So it's literally evolved throughout the years. So even like in every aspect of my life, like literally looking for ways to live out the word relinquish, including in my relationship. So, and it's funny because just, Thaddeus and I getting back together, it's like he took on that word too some, and like that's our word. Because we are really big on just the freedom of just being us. We don't really like the term relationship goals.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. So for instance, because every couple is different, right? Every person is different. So your relationship is your relationship. So what works for Thaddeus and I might not work for you, but it's like kind of more so our principle of how we got there to that understanding. And it's just, I think the communication and freedom of speaking our truth with one another so that we can understand each other. And see each other fully. So relinquish has come into play when it comes to us not trying to control one another. I think we actually established that one really early on, back when we were still in college, because I am a type A personality. And I like things my way. And I like to, move things, shuffle them as they need to be shuffled. Because we're going to make these things work. And he was pretty clear that like he wasn't about to be nobody's pawn. So, and Thaddeus is, for those who have met Thaddeus, he is very vocal. So he doesn't sugarcoat things very much. So he's going to tell you how it is. But I needed him to say that to me in that way so that I knew very clearly. But also I recognize, like, I like the surprises of life. So if I'm always trying to maneuver and make things move the way that I want them to, I don't even get like the full enjoyment out of it. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely comes into play there. So not trying to control one another. Let's see, relinquish. There was one other thing I had thought of too. Ooh, it's going to come to me in a second.
Just let me know when it does. I like how you said, the freedom of being us. And that's just so important, especially nowadays with social media and everybody's relationship goals. I'm like, listen, you got 3 relationship goals. Love God, love yourself, and love everyone else. Like, that's it. And everyone else obviously includes whoever ain't you. But it's like, that's it. Because to your point, like, everybody's love story is different. Everybody's journey is different. Some days I just look at Eric, I'm like, who else is gonna like put up with me? Not put up with me, but like know me intimately and like understand me. I changed that from like change that from putting up with me, but more like, and vice versa. It's more of like accepting who I am authentically, like, and not having to put on for somebody else. And it's like you have to have somebody specifically designed for you so that y'all click and that you balance each other out. Like you said. You and Eric are clearly type A all day, every day. I'm just not. I have type A tendencies, but I'm more like a creative and I'm all over the place. And I really don't like for the same day to look the same. That's why it's hard for me to get on like a workout regimen because it's like I'm going to get bored. But that's just, it balances each other out.
Absolutely. And I'm like, not only that, but it's like when you become, I don't want to say the same person, but like in a relationship, but you know what I mean? It's like if you don't have any of you outside of like y'all together, like you have to remember y'all are both two people who come together as one, but you're still people. So it's like
Exactly.
even, and I feel like it leaves more room for like us to evolve, because I'm not the same person I was at 19 when we started dating, you know, like or were we 18? Either way, I'm not the same person. I'm grown. You know,
Mm-hmm.
goals are different. I've evolved. He's evolved, and I think it
Mm-hmm.
leaves room to be able to be those people who we want to be for ourselves and for each other and for our family.
Mm-hmm.
So.
100%. Yeah, that's good. Um, since I consider you somewhat of a newlywed, even though y'all been together for a while, do you have any advice for the newlyweds, or more specifically, like millennials or Gen Yers who, are thinking about getting married, or, I saw this, and shout out to XO Nicole, that's my tribe, XO tribe. But I saw
Yeah.
this post that talked about, it was all these reasons that women had shared why they're scared of getting married and why they're scared of marriage, and like even having significant others, and having men who are ready to propose to them, but they shared and they were vulnerable about why they're afraid to get married. And I even looked at the comments, and there were plenty of people who was like, yeah, that's me, or I felt like that. And I was like, man, that's kind of sad. And like, I hate that. I think it's natural to feel nervous, but to just have this gut fear of like being married. So like, what would you say to encourage, those who are looking or that aspire to be married and who are like, younger?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. You guys sent me that article. It sounds really rich. It sounds good.
Yeah.
For advice, I feel like I can't, that whole being open, because I feel like there's a lot of things that we do, and I feel like a common fear is often like, if I open myself up, if I'm vulnerable, I'm gonna be hurt. And I feel like marriage isn't necessarily without hurt. I use that loosely. Like there's gonna be
Yeah.
some times where obviously, like, you don't see eye to eye and
Yes.
all that. But I think it's recognizing those as being part of the journey instead of being a relationship isn't supposed to have those.
Mm.
Like those are natural occurrences. Like you never, like all the paved roads, the highways out there, none of them are perfect. Even okay, the dotted lines going down like the highway, those aren't even straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like there's going to be things that veer, um, and that make us kind of, maybe trip a little bit because we're like, okay, now wait a minute, I wasn't ready for that, or this is new. But at the end of the day, like you're in it with a partner. So I would just say being open, being open some more. And then
Mm.
also, if you feel like any type of reservations, or you recognize, because even I think I've seen you say this too, like you don't have to wait to go to therapy until you feel like there's something wrong with you.
Absolutely not.
You can go just to go. It's a well visit. We just going to go check in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if that's another area or place where it helps you kind of discover something else about yourself, then so be it. I think getting to know yourself and also having a trusted or a professional there to help you with that is really good.
Mm-hmm. And I love the wisdom that you already have, because I feel like you don't have to be married too long if you keep it real. If you're like a type person who keeps it real, not somebody who tries to like fake the funk, but like um you don't have to be married that long to realize you like, it's like sometimes you have these aha moments, like you were saying, like, uh-oh, snap, like this is going kind of a little differently than I expected, or life has happened. Did you have those kind of like what I like to call aha, or Oprah calls them aha moments, or like a wow moment, like something that hit you like early on, even early on, when you're like, uh-oh, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, this is not a straight dotted line.
Yes, absolutely. So again, I told y'all Thaddeus is real vocal. Okay. But so I can remember I think it was actually his birthday. And
It's always a birthday.
listen, and I've been feeling so bad, like, dang, I fell short. But it was his birthday, and he kept telling me, like, I don't want much. Like, I really just kind of like want to spend time, hang out. Like, it was something really simple. But for some reason, I still felt this need. Like, I have Martha moments in the Bible. You know, Martha was real dead
Doing
set
the
on,
most.
listen. And I'm like, well, I have to cook this steak, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. And he was, and like, I promise you, we probably sat down for dinner that night. It was like 9:30. He was like, I didn't even, and it was a weeknight too. He was like, I didn't even get to actually spend any time with you. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, I made you this dinner, like all this. And he was just like, no, like, we can always buy out. I'm not saying I don't like your cooking, and I love that you love to cook for me. However, I didn't get to spend any time with you. And so I feel like that showed me very early in our relationship the importance of showing up. And I was like, oh, we really want to be present for one another. Otherwise, we will legitimately miss each other. And it's easier for me, probably not as much as for him, because he's more of an in the moment type of person. But Lauren, I always got like 1,000 things going on at once. So I really had to be intentional about being present.
And it was like a lesson of learning his love language too. It was like you might have been doing what you thought you would want for your birthday, and he's like, but I didn't ask for all that.
And I don't think, to be quite honest, I don't even think I would want that for my birthday.
Right.
Like,
because I don't know if you felt this when you first got married, but when I first got married, I felt like there were things I was supposed to do as a wife.
Yep.
And I put all this pressure on myself to like do all these things, and I would stress myself out. Meanwhile, my husband's looking at me like, I didn't ask you to do all that. And I'm like, but you kind of did. He's like, no, I really didn't. And I'm like, he was like, where are you getting this from? And I'm like, I don't know. And you know, then it's like they said or they say, and that's when it was kind of like, why are you doing all of it? It's like, who told you you're supposed to do all this? And I'm like, well, society and societal pressures kind of make you feel like that. Versus, to your point, like really understanding what your partner and your husband really want, and your spouse, because it goes both ways. Understanding like, what do they really want in this moment? And at that moment, he just wanted you to be intentional about spending time together, which we've all been there.
Yeah, and I mean, but even with that, like that societal pressure thing, like that had carried on for so long. I think his birthday is just when I finally heard him.
Exactly.
You know, because it was like especially with the cooking thing, like I'm like, okay, we got to cook meals. I'm not cooking every day. I'm gonna cook 3 times a week. We're gonna have leftovers. Like we got this. Like I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna put my apron on, get in the kitchen, because I love to cook too. But like you said, like it just didn't make any sense. Like I'm literally like just going so hard to the point where I am miserable. Well, what type of sense does that make? And then I'm giving him my miserable, and he looking at me sideways like, I got your leftovers again. Thanks.
Right, because my husband he's a leftover snob. So I'm like, pause.
Yeah. But I just mean, even though like the leftover energy that I'm giving, like when I'm on like my second wind, but I'm not really there because I'm tired. And he's like, that. And then you get like, like the lazy booty sex. I'm just gonna turn over. We just gonna like, no, nobody.
Yeah.
It has its place, right?
Yeah.
But nobody wants that every time. And it's like, if I'm always tired, we can't do nothing with that.
I'll share with you offline. We have a rule for that about what we call turns.
Yes, please share. And say we'll take y'all's wisdom.
Listen, I got it to give. Listen, I'm no expert in this thing. That's why I'm so impressed and I'm so appreciative that I'm not that much older than you. But although I did feel really old, because you're like, yeah, we were at orientation and met on Facebook, and I'm sitting there like, girl, we didn't even have Facebook.
You said Facebook.
I still remember, I can tell you to this day where I was. I was in Betty Johnson because I was an RA, and that's when I signed up for Facebook. It was like my last year. It was either my junior, senior year. I think it was like 2005. Yeah. So I remember, and I was at the front desk because I was on call that night or something. So I was working the desk. And I was like, oh, Facebook. You can, and that's when it was still, you had to be in college, all those rules. So I was one of the first. I remember that because it was brand new, but that's how, like, it was new to the world and it was new to me. So we couldn't, if I met you at orientation, we exchanged phone numbers.
Literally.
Or MySpace profiles. Not MySpace.
Oh, I love MySpace.
Black Planet. Black Planet.
I wish I was like literally in the Black Planet age because I would have loved to experience Black Planet. No? It sounded great.
It sounded, and y'all could, some others may attest it sounded great and it started off great. And then it reached this point where profile pictures, let's just say, became very X-rated. Yes. It was bad. And
look, I was cursed. I probably liked it.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody said I was mad young, but I remember that. Yeah, listen, I know I'm dating myself right now, but I don't really care because Aaliyah said it best. Age ain't nothing but a number. Besides, the whole other, But Miller Hall had a computer lab. Y'all probably don't even know what a computer lab is, but they had a computer lab downstairs, and that's where we would go. And I mean, it would be like a party almost because everybody would be in there on Black Planet, like.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I just want to be a fly on the wall back in that year, 2003, 2004. I just want to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, and that was my freshman year. So it was like, if you wanted to get on these apps and these like networking sites, you have to go to the computer lab. It was like signing into Black Planet.
The dial-up internet.
Okay, it wasn't dial-up.
Oh, my bad. I wasn't.
It might have been. I don't know.
I was like, I remember dial-up because
Oh, yes.
I remember dial-up.
Dial-up I was high school for dial-up, but I totally digress. But anyway, it's so encouraging. That was telling me. I love the moments because my husband says I live in the 90s, even though it wasn't the 90s, but it is so encouraging just knowing how young you are and knowing that you've only been married for a few short years, but like being able to see like the goodness of marriage and the beautifulness of it, but also like you said, embracing the journey of it and the evolution, which I think is so having realistic expectations about it. Like I see that in you, and I'm so appreciative that like you see that for you and your marriage. So
yes, thank you so much.
To you, sis.
I just thought of something. So something else that I would probably tell, like especially younger people, is like when it comes to your partner, like don't make your partner like this is part of the reason why we broke up. But I put him in such an unrealistic expectation. Like I almost made it so he was if he didn't come through, it was such a big disappointment because I put so much pressure on him to be everything. And then when he didn't, my expectations were were let down. And then I had an issue, and then that would cause a fight. And then, or I just wouldn't communicate it, and I'd just be over there really hurt and feeling some type of way internally. Yes. So I would say like having like, I think that's part of the beauty of like taking time to get to know yourself and also having a relationship with God, because then I could let God fill in those gaps instead of feeling like I needed to put Thaddeus in those places. Does that make sense?
1,000% it makes sense.
Yeah.
Woo. That's it right there, sis. That's it. 'Cause ultimately, like the disappointment and the resentment often comes from mismanaged expectations. It's like, I believe that you're going to do this for me, and when you don't do it, then and then you feel like, oh well, this ain't what I signed up for, and it's like
you let me down. Yeah. It's like, am I in this relationship by myself? Like, why am I even thinking so highly? You should be my everything. But it's like he never would be. That would just be his lane.
That's, if y'all don't get nothing else from that, honey, married or unmarried, that's it right there. Sip Soul Shop Atlanta. Hey girl, hey. She said preach. Exactly. You preaching. Listen, this has been let's see, all ages, it doesn't matter, all walks of life. This is why I love Wives One Down. So before we pull on out of here, I want to do our rapid fire round. Just ask you a few fun questions just to get to know you and your hubby and, you know, what kind of things you like in marriage, just to show the diversity of how some people view marriage or view the relationship. So are you ready?
I am ready.
Yay. Okay. First one. Aside from feedings, who's more likely to wake up first in the middle of the night when baby Titus is crying?
Oh, me, 100%. Yeah.
I know. I was like, I didn't finish the question.
I was thinking you were talking about we was waking up for a midnight snack. I was
Oh.
like, I said, everybody do that?
That's a good question too. Who's more likely to wake up for a snack?
Nowadays, me. Back in the day, him for sure.
Yeah.
He's always eating some Ben and Jerry's at like 2 a.m.
That's one thing I don't do. I won't snack in the middle of the night. Like once I'm asleep. But maybe snack before bed. I'm probably more likely to do that. But in the middle of the night, I don't. Neither one of us do that.
Well, that's true. We're not like really getting up like that, but like I could look over and I'd be like, "You still up?" And he's eating. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of sleeping, who's more likely to steal the bed covers while sleeping?
Nowadays, him. I'd be hot though, so I'd be like, "Take them."
Yeah, I
Just
feel like
sweat.
he takes them when I'm cold, but yeah.
So it feels like a little bit of betrayal.
Yes. Wake up, covers out. I'm like, well, where am I in the bed?
Yeah.
PDA, are you here for it or no?
We're weird. We're a little awkward together, the little couple. So,
I love the honesty.
Yeah, I didn't say so. Now I was like, at most, like, he might get a little peck, you know, but it ain't nothing crazy.
Okay. I wouldn't call that weird though.
It's not really weird. You're right. I shouldn't put that misnomer on it. It's not weird. I think we're like, I use awkward. To me, awkward is not a bad thing. But yes. I think sometimes we are a little awkward together. So it can be kind of like, okay, hey.
Yeah. I would love to see the awkwardness in person.
I was going to arrange that.
Bathroom boundaries or nah?
We got boundaries. Ever since I was pregnant too, my nose is sensitive. So I'd be like, bruh, absolutely not.
Well, he couldn't care less. So
really,
I'm working on it, sis.
Yeah.
Somebody says Gabby says, I have my own blanket. I don't like sharing covers. Oh, okay. That's nice. What's your usual go-to for Netflix and chill? Rom-com, action, horror, or TV series binge?
Oh, I am a sucker for rom-com. And say together, I convince him to watch rom-com, but I meet in the middle and we'll do a little action. But I'm a sucker. Rom-com and those little teenage drama movies on Netflix, y'all, I love them. I won't embarrass myself, but I absolutely love them.
It's okay. No, this is a judgment-free zone.
Please.
Would you rather have a vow renewal or relive your honeymoon?
Oh no, it's a new time, a new day. Let's do a vow renewal somewhere different with our new family and friends.
Yes, and little baby Titus. Oh, he's so cute.
Thank you.
If you only had one choice, hypothetically, morning sex, day sex, or evening sex?
Day sex.
Listen, you my girl. You my soror. We got the hoops banging, and we got the necklace. And we're here for day sex. Thank you very much.
Yes, I don't have enough of it, so I'm like, we gotta. Yeah, I feel you. Silly.
I know you said you like to cook, but who's more likely to cook, you or him?
Absolutely me.
She said absolutely.
He wants to show up his skills sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's really good to know. Which of these is closest to your love language? Hubby cleaning the house, giving you a massage, buying you a gift, or him telling you how much he loves you?
Cleaning the house.
Oh, yes. You
Yeah.
sure you a Capricorn?
I am. I like things a certain way, but I'm like, look, baby, you can clean the house. I can fix up, do a little touch up here and there. You do the
Listen.
rest.
Yes. Okay, last one. Which TV wife? Oh Lord, you know what? Some of these might be before your time. No, I'm just teasing. Which TV wife describes you the most? And if you think of another one, feel free.
Okay.
Claire Huxtable, the original Vivian from Fresh Prince, Rochelle from Everybody Hates Chris, or Rainbow from Blackish.
I feel like Thaddeus would say like I'm Rainbow, but I don't know. I think there's a little me in all of them. Like, I almost want to say the original Aunt Viv. Too. I don't know on that one. That's a hard one. Okay. I'm gonna go Rainbow as my final answer.
Final answer, locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Dime, she right. Hey girl, hey. She said Caps in the house. Oh, Caps. She was talking about Capricorns. When's Capricorn again?
December 21st through January like 20th or something like that.
Cool. Somebody else said we got a few. Okay, got rainbows representing tonight. I see y'all rainbows. Okay. Thank you so much for playing that, and thank you for just all that you have poured into tonight. But before we wrap, because this has been incredible, and I just love your honesty and your realness and just keeping it 100 about what it is and what it ain't. So before we head out tonight, I want everyone to grab your wine glasses. It's that time, or water or juice, whatever you're drinking, and let the people know, first of all, how they can get in touch with you, whatever you want to share, promote. It's all on you. But also, what are you toasting to tonight?
Yes. So I'll start with what I'm toasting to.
Okay.
So like shameless plug, been really big on the no hiding, but I will tell you, when you first asked me about this, I was like, imposter syndrome was real. So I was just like, sis, I don't think you really meant to ask me. And so I'm toasting to not hiding, because I'm not an imposter. I'm dope. I have lived and I have things to share. I love to share. So I'm very grateful that you have this platform, that you thought of me, and that I could show up and be in this space with you tonight.
Cheers to that. Cling, 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 cling. Cling, cling. I'm so glad you said that, because I am very particular about who I choose to have on. And, you know, and some people who you would think, you know, people like, oh, you should reach out to so-and-so. And sometimes people tell you no. I get a lot of no's. Like, people don't even understand behind the scenes. But I don't think it would have been what it's been. Like, someone needs to hear your story. And, like, beside whether your wife, single, or whatever, but it's like, you do belong in this space. You do belong in this conversation, because this is not about experience necessarily. It's not about, like, who's been married the longest. It's more about, like, let's be honest and have real talk about what it means to be married and have a happy, healthy relationship. So you absolutely belong, sis, and I'm so glad that you said yes. So cheers to that. Yes.
Another one. That real life and love, real talk.
Yes, me too. Tell the people about no hiding and all of that. Tell them where they can find it and purchase stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So follow us on the Relinquish Life on Instagram, excuse me. relinquishlife.com is our website. Our promotional one right now, the community is following the no hiding season. So not hiding from our fears, not hiding from no hiding behind any of our fears or things that would hold us back, or thinking that we're not enough, but just remembering that we are dope as is, such as what you have on right now, and that we're more than enough, and that we can conquer, and that we can conquer any and everything that we set out to do, because we got it. So that is a big thing. You can find me at Lauren Relinquish, of course. And I love interacting and talking with people. I am starting to share more, because again, with that no hiding, I am sharing more. So as I continue to share more, if there's anything that catches your eye, resonates, like, I love for people to hop in the DMs and just let's chat. I'm super friendly.
Yes. And they say in the chat, cheers to all that. Hey, Tasha. Renita, I see you, sis. She said yes. And on Sip Soul Shop ATL, Y'all check them out, even though she's going on maternity leave. But next year, if y'all want to sew, that's where you need to go. She said, you are amazing in every way, Lauren. Yes. And I see y'all with y'all's wine glasses. Yes. Thank y'all so much. For those of you all who, this was your first night, welcome to the Wives Wind Down family. We have another alum. I'm try to get y'all some varsity jackets. Don't hold me to it. I just say that loosely because
it sounds nice.
But it would be really nice. Yes, shout out to y'all and shout out to my day ones. Y'all really hold me down. Y'all encourage me. I love when I see y'all's messages and y'all like, I'm coming over there. I might be late. And I'm like, y'all don't have to explain to me, but I really appreciate it. I love the support. Keep sharing, keep telling people about it. If you miss it and you came on, you're like, oh, this was a great conversation. I missed it. Guess what? I got y'all. You can catch the replay shortly, either later tonight, maybe in the morning. But you can catch the replay on my IGTV as well as on YouTube, because Wives Wind Down is on YouTube now. Yay! So make sure you check it out. So if you missed any parts, you can catch up. You can share it with a friend. You can share the link and just share this wonderful, amazing real talk with other women, whether they're single or married. All are welcome. So again, Lauren, thank you so much for just being you. I know you said you are a jerk, but you have not been a jerk tonight, and you have not been a jerk to me.
I would never.
So I appreciate it for you not being a jerk, even though I'm like, I don't think you're a jerk, but I knew what you meant because my husband. Yes. My husband, you two are very similar in a lot of ways. So I was like, he probably would appreciate like hearing you say that. He's like, yeah, I feel on that. Like I'm a jerk. Like he would say something like that. So I felt you as soon as you said it, I was like, I know what she means. But I do appreciate that. Thank you for your kindness. And thank you for not hiding and for showing up for these women, but also for showing up for yourselves. And may that encourage the rest of you ladies and gentlemen to show up for yourselves and to remember that you do belong in these spaces and that you do belong wherever God has placed you. So thank you so much. Yes. A whole word at the end. I appreciate y'all and have a good week. This is a new month, a new day. New blessings, so embrace it and let's finish out this rest of this year strong.
Yes, thank you for all that you do.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, y'all have a good one.
Bye. See ya. Have a good night.